So, ladies and gentlemen, grab your earplugs and your emergency backup Wi-Fi. From the new metal trenches of El Nino to the groove metal throne of Machine Head to the underground beast mode of Lions at the Gates, this man has survived more lineup changes than most bands have original members. But tonight, he's battling something far more dangerous than mosh pits. Internet outages, possessed air conditioning that quit faster than a drummer on payday, a Facebook algorithm that won't stop showing him ADHD meds and music gear, but the most terrifying of all, getting caught mid-girlfriend chat during all of this. Please make some noise for the king of risks, the sultan of hold on, my connection's dying, the one and only Ahrue Luster. Let's get this
What's
going
up?
before the AC dies again and we all melt.
All right. You know what? I think my I think my AC is not going to die now. We got a new unit. Our old
Yeah,
unit was about
that's
30
good.
years old. So yeah, I think it just kind of
Wow.
died of old age.
Oh, I'll bet. Like I'm gonna probably in the next 10 years. So, I know we've been bouncing around trying to get, a conversation going, but this is awesome because you have some longevity in the metal, community. So it's good to have
Yeah,
you
I've been
on.
around a while. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So speaking of which, you being a key figure in the metal scene for decades, for listeners that may not know you, how would you describe your musical journey in your own words, of course?
Well, when I started, it was kind of I was into thrash metal, and my band we were living here in Vegas where I live now, and my band at the time was called Pestilence, or we were called Pestilence, and we moved to the Bay Area right at the peak of the whole thrash thing. So like the peak of like Exodus and Testament and Death Angel and Forbidden and all those bands, when it was just like the scene was just jumping off, and there was like shows every weekend, and even local shows were like packed all the time. And so it was such a great experience being part of that scene. And a lot of those bands, like, they kind of withstood the test of time, and I still see him from time to time, like on tours. We just did that tour with Death Angel, which brought back tons of memories. But so originally from the thrash scene, and then I joined Machine Head in 98, 99, somewhere around there. And that's kind of when the new metal scene took off. But I was part of the thrash scene, and that's how I knew Rob Flynn, because he was in Violence at the time, and I didn't even really know much about new metal when I joined Machine Head, but then he kind of like filled me in on what was going on. And so I kind of became part of that scene and known for that, even though that wasn't something that I originally set out to be known for. And then after that, I went to El Nino in about 2003, and we did that for about 17 years. It ended not in a good way, and now we're doing Lions at the Gate. So I've been doing it for a long ass time.
I was gonna say because I saw that you were with Death Angel, Violence, and Misfire.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I saw that.
That tour was really interesting because when I was like one of the first shows that my band played when we moved to the Bay Area was this show with Death Angel and Violence and another band called Chaos, but the show erupted into like a riot, and the police came, the show got shut
Jesus.
down. Yeah, and then Death Angel wrote a song about it on their next album, which is called Disturbing the Peace. And when we toured with Death Angel, that's the album that they were playing in its entirety. So it was like a weird full circle reunion type of thing.
That's wild. Holy smokes. Uh,
Yeah.
so, you kind of already mostly answered this one I was about to say, but what actually drew you to the guitar and music initially?
I was talking about this with my girlfriend the other day, and it was literally that song Jukebox Hero from Foreigner.
Nice.
And
It's vastly different than what you play now, you know?
yeah, well, yeah, it was like that kind of brought me into like rock music, and then it just went straight downhill from there. But so the reason I was like, I thought it was so crazy is because it's a song about a guy that becomes a rock star because he's inspired by a song. Or it's like I'm inspired by a song about another guy getting inspired to become a rock star. And
Yeah,
then
it's
yeah,
like it, it's like the Kevin Bacon game, you know?
yeah. So from there I went to AC/DC, and then from there to Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, and then from there Metallica and Slayer, and the rest is the rest is history.
Isn't it wild? And also, like, you know, how you kind of went from Jukebox Hero to, you know, like the thrash and, you know, heavier stuff. Do
Yeah.
you do you kind of see the evolution in your, you know, music and creativity where it starts fanning out? Kind of like myself, I started listening to like Red Clay Strays and
Uh-huh.
some of these other like um, you know, even like outlaw type country stuff and you know all these other
Yeah.
weird bands that I never would have listened to 30 years ago, you know.
Got you.
Do,
Yeah, I mean for
do you
me,
come
I
across that?
mean it's I listen to all kinds of music, and for different reasons. Like I think I was always attracted to just intense emotions. So that's why as soon as I got into anything that just triggered anything that was like heavy or aggressive, I just wanted more of that. Like how can we get more heavy and how can we get more aggressive? So that's why I was like, just went straight downhill from Foreigner. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't like I went to Journey or something like that. It was just like I need more. I need like more intense. And to this day, I still listen to like the most extreme styles of metal, but I also listen to like jazz or like Coltrane, and then I'll listen to like just weird, classical maybe, or like just weird music, whatever it is for the mood. But I still love my extreme, heavy, brutal metal. And I was also attracted to horror too. So it was just like whatever I needed to ingest needed to be just like extreme. So
That's
I
funny
don't know
because
what, I don't know why.
yeah, it's funny because I'm wearing a Pennywise button down shirt right now.
Yeah, right
So
on.
yeah, yeah. Um, you know, I know this has been beat up on podcast or your interview, you know, with interviews with you and stuff like that, but I still like to ask because you never know if there's a different take or maybe the question's a little different. But when you
Mhm.
joined Machine Head, it was there was like a kind of a pivotal time, and you jumped on the album Burning Red, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They had
What's
like
your
5 songs written.
yeah? All right, that's what I was going to ask. I mean, I was wondering how far in were they with that album?
Yeah,
Um,
they had 5 songs ready. Not completely finished, but that they were working on when I joined.
oh, okay, and then working with Ross Robinson, that was probably pretty intense. Uh,
Sure. Oh,
w-
yeah.
yeah, was that what was the experience like, and how do you feel like you've you know have you learned stuff from that experience?
I would say that working with Ross Robinson was the most influential producer I've ever worked with. And I've worked with at least 8 multi-platinum producers or platinum producers that I've worked in all different genres. But um, I I was at an early age, I was really exploring what music actually was, and like I didn't kind of realize what I was leading to until like even within the past 5 years. But I knew that emotion, like I already came to the conclusion that emotion was more important than technicality or just knowing how to play your instrument. And so when we worked with Ross, it was exactly that. He was focusing on the emotion of the music much more than like the songs or the notes, or like it was he prioritized how it was said, not so much what was said. And he was just able to bring the just he was kind of like a psychologist that would dig deep into why a singer wrote certain lyrics, and especially if it had something to do with maybe their childhood or something that like triggered something in him. It And then he would capture that. And out of any producer I worked with after that, nobody even came close to how he treated music, and what how he felt about it, and what he was able to capture. So I think those all those albums that he did back then, like all the new metal stuff, is always it's never gonna expire. That's why I think
That's
there's such a resurgence of it.
that's wild to hear because over the past, I mean, I've been doing podcasting since 2018,
Yeah,
but it was a different podcast at the time. This is relatively a new version of it. But I've
got
had,
you.
I would say, at least a half a dozen artists that said something very similar, either by their own writing or because of a producer. And they were
Yeah.
like, they kept on digging at him, like you said, a psychologist.
Hmm.
And like Merv Douglas from Powerman 5000. I know I've brought this up in the past on a few interviews, but he talks about trauma equates beauty, within a song, or
Yeah.
a different emotion that you wouldn't expect from trauma. You know, and I think it sounds like Ross kind of dug deep like that also.
Yeah, for sure. And it was like you could hear in those recordings, like for one thing, it was like even though at that time Pro Tools was already out and digital recording was already out, everything was recorded to 2-inch tape. So everything was played actually. Like there was zero edits on that album. Like nothing was edited. Everything was actually played. Um, the drum, the tempos on all those Ross Robinson albums like fluctuated, and I think that's missing in a lot of music. Like I was listening to an old Slayer album just a couple days ago, and I was like, well, man, there's so many like fluctuations in tempo that it
Yeah.
actually adds an element to the music that's missing from today's like super cookie cutter to the grid type of music. I mean, and I just feel like it was real compared to like so much stuff of today.
Yeah, I mean that brings up a good point too, and we can maybe touch on this then. Like you said, with some of the cookie cutter stuff and even with the invention of AI, which I know there's a ton of people that dislike it, but I
Yeah.
can see why some people use it for inspiration and then maybe walk their way out of it, which is a good idea. Still write
Yeah.
your own thing. Maybe you're stuck in a spot. There's always, creative block. Sometimes that might help, but to do an entire song through AI is pretty ridiculous, I want to say.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I
the
mean,
with the digital side of things, it's just wow.
yeah. Yeah, it's crazy like where AI has come, and and it's only accelerating, so who knows what's going to you're going to see in like 5 years from now, but there was I at the same time I feel like um digital, like Pro Tools has been around for more than 20 years, like 25, 30 years, and people have been um using it to cut everything to the grid to where it's so mechanical sounding and so like absurdly tight that it's not real anymore. And then there's all these sample libraries that people are using. Like most recordings don't even have real drums these days. So it's like when people say, "Oh, music was real," and then now AI is like this big jump. To me, it's kind of like the next step where everything was going, anyways. So it's not too far off from like using sample libraries that are already created to like put in your song and use drum samples that were already created and bass samples and I don't know. I just think it's a natural evolution of where music was already headed.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm looking at like some of these YouTube ads or YouTube ads. Holy smoke, that was hard to say. Um, with like 11 Labs and Suno, and I mean, to look at Audacity and Cubase and stuff like that. But they
Yeah.
have like these like drop-ins like output, um, and I forgot the other one, but they're basically like, oh,
Yeah.
it's gonna scrub your entire song or whatever, find that key and that BPM, and then it's like, oh, this sounds good. Maybe do this string set, or maybe add this horn section, or whatever, and it gives you like
Yeah.
a whole list, which I get because you're not gonna look for 15 horn players to do a song that you just want to put out as a demo. I get
Yeah.
that part of it, but it's still like the days of Elvis, Sinatra, and the big band thing is, woof, that's a tough one. You know, uh,
Yeah. I mean, I don't hate it. It's just a tool, and there's still like people still have to recreate it live, and that's kind of where you get that real experience again. Like I recently saw. I mean, it wasn't really recently, but I saw Metallica maybe a couple of years ago. And what I liked the most about it was that they don't play to a click, and the music was breathing. It was like kind of like listening to a Ross Robinson album or something like that. So I still think you can get that experience, um, but there's there's a lot of tools now that really make it easier. But as long as like the creative director, like whoever's in charge of making the music, is the force behind it, then it's still art, no matter what tools you use.
that's very true. The time that I use like uh, Chat GPT and like Suno is when we're sitting around and somebody comes up with a one liner. I'll throw it in
Hmm.
the Chat GPT comedically and make a parody out of it, and then we just make
Yeah.
it, do whatever, and it's hilarious because we've done several of those, and which will never be producible. It'll never be public. It's just kind of round robin with a bunch of comedian friends of mine or musician friends of mine.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Um, that's a blast. But other than that, yeah, the marketability on that's everybody knows it's AI right now.
Yeah.
Um, especially with there's keywords that are in ChatGPT that you absolutely know that it's AI. Just the way they write, it never falls away from it. But
Totally.
yeah, so I want to, of course, dive into El Nino and Lions at the Gate because, like I said, there might be listeners on my podcast that haven't heard the bands, or maybe they shouldn't actually listen to them. Check them out. That's why we have you
Yeah,
on.
for sure.
You've been with El Nino for how long? I forgot what.
From about 2003 to 2020, maybe. Or
Okay,
yeah, so like about 17 years I was in the band.
I was gonna say I think I saw you guys at Taste of Madison in Wisconsin, and
Okay.
yeah, that, and I think Chicago. You played. I can't think of what place that was. I think you played around the time when OTEP was playing there too in Chicago.
I know
Uh,
we toured with them maybe a couple times.
yeah, yeah, I think it was 2014 or 15. I want to
Oh,
say.
okay.
So
Yeah.
I'm almost positive, but um, being the core member for that long, you brought some Latin influences into heavy music,
Mhm.
if I'm not mistaken. Because I've listened to some of the stuff on YouTube, and I apologize that one. There's one where you're playing a nylon string,
Yeah.
and I think it's discrepancies, maybe, or am I saying that wrong? It was a really
I'm not.
really cool song. I'll have to look. I'll put it in the comments on this
Okay.
podcast, though. Yeah, I love that song, and I wish I
Oh,
would have wrote it
awesome.
down, but yeah, yeah, I did a little bit of a deep dive last night on all that, so I'll
Oh,
I'll put
cool.
my playlist together, as they say. Um, What was the vision behind the band when you joined, and how did it evolve once you joined it?
So when I met the guys, I was in Machine Head at the time, and we ended up doing the Road Rage tour in the States with it was like Machine Head, Fear Factory, Il Nino, Chimera, and I really loved the band. Like I every when I saw them play, I thought they had a really unique sound. They were mixing like Latin percussion and Latin instrumentation, Spanish guitar with metal, and nobody in the world had done anything like that. I mean, the closest thing that somebody was doing similar was, of course, Sepultura, Soulfly, but that was more just like Brazilian rhythms. So, and oh, there was a band called Puya too that was actually doing it pretty well as well at the time. But I had never heard it, and I was just drawn to them. And then it was like at that time, Machine Head always did one huge European tour in the winter. And the reason they did it in the winter is because nobody else was touring at that time. And there was like the shows were usually packed because there was no competition. And um, so we were deciding who to bring. And then I said, what about that Il Nino band that we just, we toured that Road Rage tour. And so, so the guys looked at each other and like, yeah, that's a good idea. So we brought Il Nino on tour, and that was kind of like the tour that broke the band in Europe. And so after that, they were able to go back to Europe and headline themselves. But a couple of years later, or like maybe a year after that, I don't know if it was 1 or 2 years after that, that's when I left Machine Head. Their guitar player left, so they asked me to try out, and I went and did that for 17 years.
Wow, what a flip flop,
Yeah.
compared to Machine Head. Um, and I mean, I listen to some of the lines at the gate. The like I said, some of the reels and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what makes that band and project special to you in this stage in your career, and also how is that from going from like a new metal type thing to lines at the gate in your current work?
I think new metal. I mean, I think there's definitely a new metal influence in Lions at the Gate, and I think there's a lot of maybe similarities to the Il Nino sound because it's Christian's voice, and Christian's to me that is the sound of Il Nino and Lions at the Gate. So when you have a totally unique singer that that has unique melodies and just a unique resonance to his voice, it's hard to not sound like the other band that he was the biggest part of. So, and then when you have, other people that were from that band writing the music as well. So we just didn't, I think it kind of there's a lot of similarities minus the Latin elements. And I even think the Latin elements show up in other ways that are just subconscious because it's kind of been, it was part of us for so long. Um, but I forgot what the question was because I got ADHD.
No, that's all right.
Yeah.
No, I mean, basically, what makes this band and your projects special to you at this stage in your career?
Oh yeah. Okay. So what makes it special? Like it has to mean something. And I loved Christian's lyrics in Il Nino, but after everything he's been through since Il Nino into Lions at the Gate, it it just it's just on another level. Like they're to me, they're the best vocals he's ever done in his life. And we were able to work with a producer, Kyle Odell, that was able to kind of like refine what he was trying to say in a way that actually spearheads it and people get it right here instead of because like I would say because a lot of the Il Nino stuff was self-produced, so sometimes the lyrics were all over the place and not so focused on the feeling that you're trying to create. And I think that's what matters to me, is like the music has to mean something. And with his lyrics and his vocals, that's why I like to do it. And that's why I'm proud of creating music with him.
Yeah, I mean he's definitely, unique. And the thing is like Elias from Nonpoint kind of rings a bell with me too. You
Yeah.
know, because they have a bit of a Latin influence in a lot of their stuff too.
Yeah.
Um, and it's crazy because I think that was the show at Taste of Madison was
Oh,
Nino played and Nonpoint played, and that was the first time I saw Nonpoint since Bullet with a Name came out.
got you.
So that
Yeah,
was
I,
pretty
I
wild.
did a tour with them. I wasn't sure if you were aware.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah.
What's funny though is that I almost got knocked out by the damn foam brain that you guys were throwing around. Do
Oh
you remember
shit.
that thing or no? Yeah,
I don't
it
remember. I
was.
don't remember.
I was hammered. So you could have probably knocked me out with a feather at that point.
Yeah.
It was brutal, and it was one of the hottest Taste of Madison's or shows that I've been to in a long time. Uh,
I was probably hammered too.
but no, God,
I used to drink a lot back then.
yeah, I think we all did around 2014, 15, 16.
Yeah.
Uh, so what's a song or riff that you've written over the years, of course? And this is I
Mhm.
know this is kind of a cookie cutter question, but it seems like it changes every time I ask somebody this on different podcasts.
Yeah.
What's a song or riff that you've written that fans constantly ask you to play or talk about, or maybe they want to learn how you play it? So you might do how they do those takes where you're doing a playthrough.
Yeah. Um maybe the blood, the sweat, the tears from the Burning Red, the main riff. The da 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 da
Yeah,
da da. That one.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. As soon as you said that, I'm like, yeah, I guess that would be mine too. Yeah,
Right
that's
on.
awesome. Um, so looking at your other projects outside of like the bands and writing for that, I know you have kind of a cool take on recording and producing too, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I for 10 years, because I produced bands for about 18 years, since like 2008, I think. And I always thought, man, since I tour around the world, and so many, there's so many bands around the world that know me from the bands I played in. I bet if I could figure out a way to record on the internet, I could, work with a lot of bands. And so there's always been solutions, but I've I've tried them. And even Cubase came up with one that I tried about 8 years ago, maybe around the time I did the Motograder record. And I learned Cubase. I spent like 3 months learning Cubase. I did the Motograder record in Cubase because I thought I'd be able to use their online recording platform that they came up with, and it just sucked. Basically, I in my mind I was like, man, I should fucking sue them, because I spent all this time learning how to use fucking Cubase, and just
Yeah,
so I could use the recording part, and it doesn't work that well. And then there's been a couple other ways to do it. There's something called Source Connect, but so my ear was always on, like always to the internet, about figuring out a way to record over the internet that actually worked. And you know 10 years later there was nothing. And so I don't know how I got the idea, but the way that it always works is like it's recorded, the signal is recorded and then sent through the internet into my DAW on my computer. And that's where there's always, it can break up, or the latency and all these problems. And then I thought, what if I control the other computer from my computer? So what I do is basically like, like those there's software that tech support uses, and they take control of your computer.
Yeah, like SharePoint and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I found one that's super low latency because it's designed for video games. So it's designed if you have a gaming computer that you could log into anywhere and play it. And so the latency is way lower than any of the other things out there. So I use that to control somebody else's DAW. Well, I put Reaper, that's what I use. I put it on their computer, and then I control it and record them, and then send the signal through the internet that I'm monitoring from. So it's flawless. Like, even if
That's
there's
wild.
yeah, if the signal cuts out or anything, it's still perfect on their end because it's being recorded on their computer. And then it's
And that's
I do it's
I was sorry, go ahead.
go ahead. Okay, so
No, I was
like,
gonna say
and
that
then and then
it'll be fun to edit.
yeah, so like I then I figured a way to sync the their version of Reaper and my version through Dropbox or any equivalent, so that once the files populate, they actually end up on my computer where I could edit them and then move on to the next take.
Yeah, that's kind of right now with StreamYard. Right now with the recording that we have, there'll be a
Mhm.
local recording on your end and a local recording on my end, and then there's also
Yeah.
cloud recording.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I love this. Like, there's very few streaming services that do that.
Yeah.
But I totally understand it because like I said, with the podcast realm, you need something where the live stream thing. Say if your end, with the say an internet connection takes a crap, it's
Yeah.
still locally recorded on your end, and then as we're done, it's uploading to the cloud for me to be able to drag it, and then I can edit it, and it's all seamless for me then. So I
Yeah,
totally understand it on this end.
that's crazy because I didn't know that StreamYard did that, and that's exactly the same concept. Like, it gets recorded locally and then synced up.
Yep, exactly. That's why I don't ever have drag. Like I noticed even when we were talking, there might have been a little glitch on your end.
Yeah.
I'm not even worried about it anymore because as soon as I pull that at the end of our interview, it's totally perfect. So
Mhm.
it's weird that we're talking about that because that's the reason why I use StreamYard. So
Yeah.
shout out to
So
StreamYard
I
for me, dickheads. Like,
so I was actually because I got to think of a way. I was trying to think of a way so when I record bands over the internet, um, how I can also film myself. I mean, because we also have a video feed going back and forth, so I can like use my hands when I'm explaining stuff and stuff like that. But I also wanted to be able to record it so I could use it for content. And I was looking into OD, I don't know, it's ODB or something like that.
ODB,
But
yeah,
it doesn't.
Streamlabs. Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't do what Streamlab does it?
No, StreamYard, the one that I use,
Or
Streamlab is kind of
Streamyard.
more of a game. Yes, Streamlab's more of a gamer's thing. StreamYard, you could screen share, you could do a lot of different things. So
Yeah.
off air, while we're waiting for this to finish up to upload, I'll explain it to you for sure. It's
Okay, sounds good.
it's pretty wild. I've used it for something very similar. So trying to train people through it. So I'm
Got you.
pretty impressed and happy with StreamYard. So shameless
So
plug, you know.
yeah.
Um,
And it sounds like because I was comparing the two last night because I was like, all right, I got a session coming up, but I want to record the content so that I can use it for social media and stuff. And then I was looking at StreamYard yeah, StreamYard, and then I was looking
yeah,
at the other one, and I was trying to decide which one, but now I think I'm leaning this way.
yeah, yeah. And what's great about it is at the end, once everything's uploaded, you can generate AI clips, and it'll find like some highlights. It'll
Yeah.
do the transcription, so it'll do CC, TV kind of, closed captioning, and
Mhm.
it'll transcribe everything in the text, and it'll also find the ones that are more viral. So if you want to find something that's going to post and do well, it'll take that out of that interview or that whatever.
That's
So I
cool.
mean, it's vastly different than a lot of it out there. So
Yeah.
um, yeah. So I mean, hey, you never know, that might be something that will work out for you. Um,
Yeah, I think so.
speaking speaking of all this, I want to jump into conspiracy theories. Uh,
Okay.
which this almost sounds conspiracy like, between AI and all this wild stuff that's going on the internet. I had a really good one with Curran Murphy from Venom Inc.
Uh-huh.
And he said some crazy stuff. So not that you have to live up to that, but if you have one, that would be awesome.
Man, it's I've had friends that are conspiracy into conspiracies, and then it turns out a lot of them just ended up being true. So,
Right.
I don't I don't know, like, I don't have any new ones. Um,
Oh, that's fair enough. I don't mean to put you on the spot. It's just sometimes,
yeah, no worries.
yeah. There's been some ones where we're like, oh well, we can debunk these while we talk about them, and then all of a sudden we're like combing through, Alex Jones' website or something like that, trying to find
Yeah.
like some wild takes on it. But all right, so uh, that's actually good because I think it takes a special person to have like the Curran Murphy take on conspiracy theories
Yeah.
because that was nuts. Boy, it was like JFK and all this other stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, why did he even ask this from this guy?
So, yeah, it's
No,
like,
but he was
I guess my viewpoint is that I don't doubt anything that I see in conspiracy theories, and I know that, but at the same time, there's a lot of different conflicting conspiracy theories, so it's like you don't know what's true and disinformation and all that stuff. So, I just kinda I mean, there was a time when it was, like, a long time ago, like back when I was in thrash bands, that my friend gave me this VHS tape about like all the UFO conspiracy theories. And I was like, watching it and looking at, the grays and all the other parts of the conspiracies with like the um one world order and the majestic, not, I can't remember what it was, but it was just like all that early stuff. And
yeah.
for about a month, I was just like, "Fuck it, I don't even care. I don't even care about living anymore because the aliens are just gonna come."
Right. I mean, I forgot who it was. It might have been Tony Dolan. We were talking about aliens and we were talking about Area 51. And not that, I
Yeah.
mean, this is just a fun question. I could give a shit about conspiracy theories, but I always get like
Uh-huh.
some fun takes on them. And I think it's
Yeah.
kind of a cool way to kind of break away from, just talking about music. And
Yeah.
the one that he was talking about was like, why is it that like a bunch of hillbillies and rednecks see these aliens and stuff, but then we're in the middle of, well, I live in Milwaukee.
Uh-huh.
I mean, if I was an alien, I'd be here because there's a lot more to do. Why would you want to be out in the middle of nothing? There's
Yeah.
so many more people here versus like, say, you know, Helltown, West Virginia. It's like that, or maybe the aliens like kind of fit in that way. I don't know. But
Yeah.
so skipping over that, I had Chat GPT run your name in the sense
Yeah.
of a roast. And
Okay.
some of these are pretty funny. I'll skip through because there's way too many.
Yeah.
That thing just like combed everything it could, and
Did you do
I'll say, I'll
deep research mode?
I, I all I no, I just put your name in, and I said,
Okay, gotcha.
do roast jokes on this, so I didn't even have to. It like Grok is much different than Chat GPT.
Yeah.
Like Grok's got a little bit more hotter take on everything. Actually, like it writes better, of course, because it's part of Twitter.
Mhm.
So, but anyways, that's a conspiracy theory right there. Is the whole Twitter, Tesla, all that BS. God only knows if dude's even real. Um,
I mean,
no,
yeah, I mean, I'm actually a big, fan of his, and yeah,
yeah,
it's like to be pushing the boundaries in so many different directions is like almost like not yeah, like not humanly possible. Like, it's like to
exactly.
be to be just pushing the boundaries in one direction, like, if you were just SpaceX, that would be amazing just by itself, but it's like, yeah, I could see how, like, he could be not human.
Right. His eyes are going different directions like a gecko. Uh,
Totally.
but yeah, it says Ahrue Luster has been in more bands than people have had hot meals. At this point, he's not a guitarist. He's not a guitarist. He's a professional former member of.
Yeah, yep, that's me.
Oh my gosh. They call him Ahrue because 2 albums with Machine Head, his career luster was gone. Or after, sorry, let me reread this. Yeah, it says they call him Ahrue Luster because after 2 albums with Machine Head, his career luster was gone. Now he's out there shining in Lions at the Gate. That's like leaving the Avengers to join the Defenders. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yep,
Some computer nerd had to write that one. Uh,
yeah.
let's see here.
But hey, the Defenders have their own show too.
Yeah, exactly. Dude's been in divorce, or excuse me, dude's been endorsed by ESP, EMG, and Kemper. Basically, every company that feels bad he never quite became a household name. Here, have some Gear King. Sorry about the royalties. Ahrue in 2026 is still out there playing metal like it was 2003. My brother in Christ, the new metal revival already happened. You can stop warming up now. In all honesty, jumping
Yeah.
off of this roast, what is going on with like the lead singers of all these bands from 2000? Uh, and I'm not going to name names because some of them are kind of close to me, but I'm like, guys, there's a certain point where you have to put the door tag on and say, do not disturb. You know, it's
Yeah. I
like,
mean,
oh, you know,
I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure what you're talking about. Like, I mean,
well,
what do you mean?
like the lead singers of some of the new metal bands in 2000 that I know,
Yeah.
they kind of reemerged, but their
Mhm.
their numbers aren't really there. And I get it. I get why they want to do it. They want to relive some things, but there's also that um, they haven't been really. This might be a little insulting to those people, but I think there's a certain point in time where if you haven't been listened to in 20 years, 25 years, and nothing's going on, and you go out to a small bar in Waukesha, Wisconsin,
Uh-huh.
and you're really not driving it, and you're paying your guys $50 to be in the band that's not really the original band or nothing like it. I kind of wonder,
Yeah.
is that when you should hang it up? And it might sound really harsh,
Mhm.
but I think there's a certain time and a place where it's like, all right, I don't really have that following. I mean, I was in a band that we opened for Megadeth at one point. I
Yeah.
am not doing that right now. You know what I mean? Like, you know,
Yeah, I mean,
uh,
I I totally get that, and I just think everybody it's their own choice of what they wanna do, 'cause, like, you can totally
sure.
just I don't wanna say destroy your legacy because you're still you still did all those great things, but when somebody sees you, like, at, at a bar, like you said, and and they saw you another time in an arena, it's like it doesn't it you know
It
it
doesn't
makes you look.
translate well.
Yeah, it doesn't translate well, but at the same time, if they're enjoying it, more power to them. That's
Sure.
how I see
Yeah,
it.
fair enough. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I just know that I've come across a few people and I'm going, you know, they already have let's say a black mark on their name.
Yeah.
And then you're going out there and that's the reason why I don't have numbers. And I'm not gonna like I said, I'm not gonna name names, but I know two artists right off the bat that because of what they said or did or something like that, it follows them. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of their members don't really know that happened until they get for the first show on the tour and go, oh crap, now their name's attached to that band or that artist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
almost like herpes
yeah.
at that point, you know. Like oh man, why am I itching, uh but so I'm gonna throw a couple more of these on here. He played with Machine Head, El Nino, and Lions at the Gate. At this point, he's not chasing success. He's just collecting band names like Pokemon cards. Gotta catch them all. By the way, happy belated birthday to the only guitarist who can make reliable live players sound like a sick burn. I don't understand that one too
Yeah, I
much.
don't get that one.
Yeah, that one's that's what I think. I think at one point Grok got really drunk and wrote some of
Yeah.
these. So, um, but
Did
yeah,
you use unhinged mode?
no, I forgot about that until you said that,
Yeah.
and I should do that. Uh, I don't know if anybody will come back on if I do that though.
Yeah.
Um, no, this one's great. It says Ahrue's proof that talent and reliability still lose the charisma and timing. Dude could play perfect every night and still get outshined by a singer in a fucking orange jumpsuit. And I know exactly because I listened to the one podcast that they went through the gamut of like Rob's different outfits, and then they lean on you about the kung fu outfit, the kung fu
Oh,
uniform, and then
yeah.
yeah, and then you said no, I wore that on stage too, and I went,
Yeah.
I was in martial arts for a long time. I don't know how the hell you wore that with lights around you. That thing's you had to be you probably lost weight every show, you know.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would say like because back then they had par cans. They didn't have the digital lights. The digital lights are way cooler. The par cans just
Yes,
it was like shining it was like being in a tanning bed. Like and then it didn't matter what you were wearing. I would say it was more the
right.
club. Like if there was no ventilation and the par cans are like 2 feet above your head, then you're gonna die no matter what you're gonna wear.
Yeah, it's like being French fries under a heat lamp, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, God, I can't imagine that. Um, the
Yeah,
last one, and I swear to God, uh,
you could feel the heat off the lights back then.
yeah, yeah. There was a place in Illinois called Thirsty Whale that I played at, and they not only had an I beam that was right here, like right at
Mhm.
your forehead level, so you couldn't jump around, you couldn't stage dive, you couldn't do anything
Yeah.
because you'd knock yourself out. But the lights were on that I beam, so it was literally like Nazi Germany in 1941, and you were being interrogated.
Yeah.
Like it was horrific. It was horrific in that building. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna have to send you these so you can read them. When you want on your
Alright.
leisure. Yeah,
So
but
sounds good.
yeah, but at the end, if you could go back to the starting of your career, talk to that person, meaning you, what advice would you
Yeah.
give them?
I would have, like, used I would have told myself to kinda use my platform to, uh, build more things for myself than because I think especially in my early days, it's like all I cared about was, like, just playing shows and writing music and partying and, living that lifestyle. So I guess I would have told myself to do some things to like help the now me right now.
Right. I think that's a lot of artists too, though, because we're like, oh, look at the glitz and glam, look at all the fun, and
Yeah.
I'm playing in a band and stuff like that. I had the same thing. And I think I would say at least 90%, if not more, have the same exact answer with that. Like, go back. I had one guy said he beat the shit out of himself.
And
He's like,
the thing
you
is
know,
like when like I'm lucky enough to have like trans what do you call that? Like when you have a lifestyle like that where you're playing arenas and you're, kind of like living life at the highest level and then you come down to a baseline of a normal life. A lot of I see it a lot in the industry and a lot of people don't take it that well. And even you see like in the worst cases people end their lives. But I wish there was some sort of program that would help people, and not only just in music but like acting, sports, and all kinds of different platforms where you're on top of the world and then all of a sudden you have to kind of transition back into a regular life. A lot of people aren't set up for that, and it kills them, like literally kills them, or fucking kicks them around a lot. So I wish there was like more programs in place to like help people transition to like one, from one
yeah,
lifestyle to back to another. And it's sad. Like you see it in sports, you see like I don't know, you see it all over the place, and
yeah. I
it's
mean, you can
I
see it in the
hate when I see
military.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can see it
that
in the
too.
military. You could see it even with prisoners. They maybe they
Hmm.
didn't do anything bad and they got out. Now they don't know what to do in society.
Yeah,
That's actually a really good point. Honestly, there should be a
yeah.
mentorship program, especially with like um, you know, artists and musicians that have been doing this for 30, 40 years
Hmm.
and they're done. Let's say, they're retired or whatever is going on, even if they're not.
Yeah.
And the young, the new musicians and artists, they can come back and go, hey, you know what? You might want to set up a 401k. You might want to set up this. You might want to do
Yep.
this. Have a side gig.
100%.
Yeah, my friend Chuck Wepfer, he was in Blacktop Mojo and he kind of filled in for Flaw for a little while.
Hmm.
Um, we talk about this almost on a daily basis. Like, and he's a hustler. He's a hustler.
Yeah.
Like he does a lot of different things, but he still does recording and all this other stuff. But he understands that, hey, I have a livelihood. I have to keep my bills paid.
Hmm.
And there's people always reaching out to him, going, hey, you know what? I know you're a star. He's like, no, I'm not. He's like, I'm a
Yeah.
musician, but first and foremost, I have a fiance and I have I have a house to pay and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
you know, I feel bad when I see musicians on the streets. It's because they were somewhere at one point.
Hmm.
And no, you brought up a really really excellent point. There should be a mentorship program for sure.
Yeah, that would
So
be awesome. Like, I mean, if I had the time, maybe I would I would think about like doing that with other people, but like right now I'm just so I guess I'm, just trying to get the studio off the ground, and I got some other things that I'm planning, but maybe in the future I might even do something like that because it's something I've thought about for years. Um and another part of it too is like even when you get to a level where you're kind of on top of the world, if you don't have the right mindset, and which I like when I first joined Machine Head, I went from just being a local guy playing local shows to like doing all kinds of crazy shit. And there was a point where I kind of like had to just take a step back, and because my sense of self-worth started becoming based on what other people thought of me and not what I thought about myself. And when I realized that, I kind of had to make this just rule for myself that any kind of self-worth was going to be something that I did because I'm a good person and I'm a good human being, and not because people like my music or people, you know, think I'm cool. So just kind of staying grounded with that helped me a lot. And a lot of people never figure that out. And that's the people that fall the hardest.
That's a really profound explanation of that. That was really good. Yeah, because the ego gets in the way with all of us pretty quick. Uh,
Hmm.
especially if you have one sold out show, or whatever it is, whether you're an
Yeah.
artist, whatever type of creativity you do. When you get that little taste of success, or that even one night of success,
Yeah.
it can go to your head like a lightning bolt. And
And yep.
yeah, and I've watched it. I've watched it with a lot of my friends, and a lot of people that I hold dearly. And I'm like, man, just get out of the freaking black hole, man. You're going to be looking at yourself 10, 15, 20 years from now and going, where did it all go? You
Yeah.
know.
And it's like, the thing about it too is like, most people get into music or some whatever art form because they're broken, you know? So they already don't have the tools. And then when that kind of stimulation comes around, they're not set up for it, and it just takes them for a ride, and spits them out the other end. And um it's really sad when you see it. That's why see so many deaths of musicians that at the later halves of their careers, like way earlier than they should have. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's a
yeah,
really
that's
sad thing. And
hmm.
that would be nice if there was some sort of mentorship. And the thing also is, like, when you're on top of the world, and even though you may be broken, and you might be highly depressed, and your ego isn't like a sign of strength, it's a sign of weakness. But people hate you for it, just because they don't understand that it's because you're broken. It's not because you got it together.
Yeah, that's I think yeah, so I want to say 2014 or 15, I had a chance to be with musiccares.org. I don't know if you ever
Hmm.
heard of that.
No.
That it's a charity that provides health, financial, and rehab services to music people in times of need, by helping in different ways.
Yeah.
And when I first found out about it, was I can't remember her name. I want to say it's Holly Hutchinson. She was the one that
That's
she was
familiar.
an A&R, yeah, she was an A&R for Capitol at the time.
Okay.
And she brought me in on this. And it was, I think, Bob Dylan's year for the induction for that. And that might be something very similar. We should actually put on the description here, because
Yeah.
it's it does help, health, financial, rehab services. So, and I'm sure there's others, but that, as soon as we talked about that, I remembered that. That was over 10 years ago, which is wild.
Yeah, I'll check it. I'll look into it. I'll check it out.
Yeah, yeah, I'll make sure to put that in the description for sure. So, now that we're winding down a little bit, I would love for you to put out your socials, everything you're doing coming up, whatever projects you're recording, everything. Just the
Got you.
platform's yours.
So Lions at the Gate, my band, we're just putting the final, like, thank yous and all that stuff on a new record that's going to come out. I don't know. We don't have exact release date, but I think it's going to come out early next year. And we'll be touring that, and you know, doing the whole cycle with that. I'm just finished building my recording studio here in Las Vegas, where I'm going to be doing not only recording bands, but also doing podcasts and content creation. And then I have an online recording service. So, like, if a band wants to work with me and they live, somewhere else in the world, it's now possible with the help of technology. And what else do I got going on? That's all I could think of. That's my main two focuses right now. So Oh, you know what? I will be creating a lot more content very soon. I just have some ideas and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do it. But I think one of the things I'm going to do is kind of like, like create, when you create content, either split screen or like overlay yourself on something. But I want to go back to like maybe old shows that I played or old tours that I've done, or just, parts of my history that I'm that I have some cool stories to tell, and I think I'm going to start doing that. And also, I think I want to do something where I'm talking about songwriting, and so like metal is one of the most like it pushes the boundaries in so many areas, like virtuosity, aggression, just like societal things. I don't know how to say that, but it's a very, very unique form of music. But the one area that I think that it kind of lacks is like in just lyrics, and like how to like create a song, like kind of like how country excels at that. But maybe like get bringing some of that like songwriting energy into metal, and like combining it with everything else that's going on, and maybe help people think about their choruses a little bit more, and help people think about like the like I don't know, just like tying it all together and making it a song. And that's what you're doing with it anyways. It's like it's not a combination of riffs, it's actually a song, and it should be thought of as a song.
No,
So
that's awesome. Um, and I can go back to what you're saying about the cookie cutter thing. Uh, that would definitely help a writer or a musician kind of break free of that cookie cutter syndrome. You know what I mean?
yeah, totally.
Um, because there's so much out there, and it's not. I don't want to say it's my age, but there's times where I'm like, man, just how about try something a little different? Scare your audience, shock
Yeah,
them, do something where you're like, oh my god, when the hell did they come
yeah.
up with this idea?
I like to say like you want people to talk about you and say, oh, they're the band that, and have something after it that everyone can relate to, or say. So it's like, if you don't have that, they're the band that, and you can't fill in that blank, then you're just generic. And you
Yeah,
need to figure out a way to stand out.
yeah. Like this day and age, there's like an epidemic of bass drops.
Yeah.
Like as soon as that second chorus happens, they do a bass drop. They kind of do a bit of a bridge, and then they do like some sort of crescendo, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden you're like, all right, now you're back in the song again. Like, do something different. Like, add some piano, or I don't know, do something crazy
Yeah.
where it's just like, oh shit, how did that happen? You know?
Exactly.
Uh, yeah,
Kind
I
of like
totally agree with you on that.
when you're creating content, like content creators always have to find some sort of hook or some way to capture someone in the first 3 seconds. Like songs need to do that too.
Oh, 100%. That's why I was leaning on that idea that about StreamYard. I mean, that's the hook is it writes the hook. Let's just
Yeah.
say, but I mean, mine is the idea of the roasts. I try to involve comedy into this
Yeah,
because
totally.
yeah, when do you hear a music related podcast talk about like just wild stuff instead of just going, oh, how's the tour going? Then you sound like FM
Yeah.
radio, you know, and
Yeah,
it kind of
exactly. Like, yeah, I mean, you could apply that to your podcast. Like, oh, I'm the podcast that has the comedy element, you know,
yeah,
and
yeah,
a differentiator, basically.
exactly, exactly. Well, I 100% appreciate everything that we've talked about. I'm so glad you came on. I know we've had
Sure.
a minute. I even think, honestly, on my old podcast, I think I asked you a couple of years ago. Um,
Okay.
yeah, and I just think that there was a couple of times where we couldn't, jive anything, but got you on. I mean, I'm excited to get this one out. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, just everybody pay attention. Follow the page. It's Intrusive Thoughts, or INTTHTPOD on all socials. And again, appreciate you coming on, Ahrue.
For sure, man. Thanks.